2024 brought significant changes in the law school admissions world, and I expect this trend to continue into 2025. Today, I'll walk you through my predictions for the coming year and what they mean for you and your law school application process. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, in 2023, LSAT score medians at all the top 14 law schools ranged from 170 to 175, with Yale Law School at a median of 175. This year, they dropped 1 point to 174, but still the T14 are all at 170 and above. I predict that LSAT score medians will continue to maintain in that 170 to 174 range, possibly bump up a little bit. Next cycle, we'll see what happens. But regardless, the trend of LSAT score inflation is unlikely to reverse significantly, if at all. Several factors are contributing to LSAT score inflation, including more applicants achieving top LSAT scores. I suspect the primary driver here is that LSAC has become a lot more liberal in recent years about granting accommodations, particularly for extra time and extra breaks. All that you've got to do to get these accommodations is a doctor's note or documentation from a qualified professional like a psychiatrist, and you can get time and a half, double time, or even more time on the LSAT. Several years ago, LSAC was far too strict about granting accommodations. They only approved about 70% of requests. Now, by their own admission, they approve 98% of requests, which means it's easier than ever to qualify for those accommodations. And as a result of this, LSAT percentiles have changed significantly. It used to be that scoring 173 put you in the 99th percentile, but now you've got to get a 175 to be in the 99th percentile. And so you don't want to rely on LSAT score medians from several years back as a benchmark for what you'll need, because LSAT medians will likely continue to rise as more and more students get accommodations. And most schools are constantly aiming to increase their medians to improve their ranking in the ever important US News Law School rankings. And so you're going to want to keep putting in the work to aim for the highest LSAT score possible. And in my opinion, there's no reason to ever aim for anything below a 180. Speaking of which, if you'd like my help on your journey to scoring a 170 or above, or ideally a 180, there are a number of different ways I could support you. At LSAT Unplugged, we offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And so my first big prediction was LSAT score inflation isn't going anywhere, and we will likely continue to see top law schools with top LSAT score medians of 170 plus. My second big prediction for 2025 is that we're going to see a surge in applicants, in particular, given that 2024 was a presidential election year and Trump was elected president. Historically, contentious election years have led to increased law school applications. For example, in 2016, Trump versus Hillary, there was an 8% increase in law school applicants. In 2020, Trump versus Biden, we saw an application surge of 13%, partially caused by the fact that it was the first year of the pandemic. And in 2024, we will likely see another big spike in law school applications and law school applicant numbers. As of mid-November, we're already seeing a spike of 25.7%. This is not likely to hold throughout the cycle, though that percentage is going to drop significantly. It's unusually high year over year at this moment because of the fact that logic games were removed earlier this year. But regardless, 2024, we will see another similarly large spike of at least 8-10% or more, due to the fact that a lot of politically minded applicants see law as a way to make a difference. And a lot of law school applicants are galvanized by the fact that Trump was in the race and that, of course, he ended up being elected. One word of caution here as a side note, please don't make your law school application essay about politics. Politics is a sensitive topic, it's often polarizing, and you can't necessarily assume that the person reading your application will share your views. Your essay should focus on you first and foremost, not current events, not national politics. Make it an essay that only you could write. So my second big prediction here is that we will see a big spike in law school applicant numbers relative to last year, at least 8-10%, not the 25.7% spike that we saw as of the data released in mid-November. It will likely drop a little bit, but it'll still be at least an 8 to 10% increase year over year. Now, my third big prediction here for LSAT and law school admissions relates to the LSAT's format and its content. Of course, after the June 2024 LSAT, removed the logic game section, replacing it with the second scored logical reasoning section. And so while this change has already occurred, we can expect to see an increase going into 2025 with regard to questions involving formal logic, conditional reasoning, where diagramming is useful. LSAC can no longer test those concepts in the logic game section, and so they are integrating them into the logical reasoning section instead. We've already seen this on scored portions of the LSAT in late 2024. We're seeing it a whole lot more in the unscored extra experimental section, indicating that LSAC will likely include these questions even more and more over time in the scored portions of the LSAT in 2025. And so to prepare for this, make sure you brush up on your understanding of these concepts, particularly in logical reasoning, questions involving formal logic, conditional reasoning, diagramming, numbers versus percentages, absolute versus relative values. These concepts, to be clear, have always been tested on the LSAT in previous years, even going back 25, 30 years ago, but we're going to see these concepts tested a whole lot more going forward. And if you'd like my help with these, of course, there are a wide variety of ways I could support you. Check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.